spirit of matter. And today I decided to already take a look at the full moon in Pisces. So let's see where we are heading. And as I'm looking at the chart, this is Jupiter day, but Mars hour. So sorry, I woke up on Jupiter hour. So I'll tell you what happened on Jupiter hour. Every day I wake up with something, you know, and I like it. It usually sets the tone for the day, or it tells me something about my life. And today I woke up with thinking about the episode where I looked at draconic astrology. So you can check out my draconic astrology episode. Um, and I, of course, looked also at my own chart. It's funny because it was the basically the Queen of Netherlands was given as an example. So it was very interesting to me. She's the one who's responsible about citizenship by learning the language. If you're Dutch, which had its pros and cons. Um, and and then I looked at my chart, and the experience of the leader that is coming back from exile and gaining value through the experiences of exile and through tending to those people that are in exile, or 12th house experiences, kept coming up in my natal chart, in my I'm not sure about the Navamsa, but definitely in the draconic chart, in and sidereal option. I haven't looked all that far, but the fact that it kept repeating itself, and today I woke up with this acceptance, and I've been having this realization about that since then. One of them was the understanding that there are people who are the people who bring in the new. Okay, so it's our job to bring in the new. It's our job to make the world different. Okay, um, so and how it relates also to personal planets, so also to very intimate parts of the personality. You know, some people date, get to know each other, have children, and they can be revolutionary people too. But it's kind of like, to have the very basics that human beings have, you need the entire world, the entire map of the world. I literally had a dream, and I talked about this, where the entire map of the world had to change. And I was thinking, and yesterday I heard a story from the I Ching, which I intend to do an episode learning with you, because I still need to learn about revolution, and says that revolution, you have to touch the hearts of people. Now immediately, because I'm me, what pops into my mind is Adolf Hitler is a very familiar example to the family. We are Holocaust survivors, generation. I'm third generation, so when you actually begin to read Mein Kampf, okay, he was very relatable. He wasn't saying anything new to the spirit of the time. Okay, and this is important. The ideas of eugenics, the ideas of the motherland, the idea that every people need to live in their own land. You know, unfortunately, a lot of the Jews feel this way too. They are afraid of assimilation. And this causes stagnation and a lot of problems in religion. Our greatest religious influencers were actually in exile, and they were influenced by other religions, even newer religions. Okay, the Maimonides, I did an episode about Maimonides. And so to develop, we do need to learn from other people. So when you think about, you know, the ability to relate to the heart of people, and the experiences of exiles, coming from exile and understanding what needs to be changed, what needs to be addressed. So, but the experience of having these 12th house, 10th house, second house in my case, and 11th house, because the rulers are being so linked, is that you first of all, you gain from crisis. It doesn't mean that you like it. Okay, if I gave you a reading and I told you crisis in your life, experiences where somebody tries to put you in jail, somebody tries to put you in hospital, somebody tries to put you out of the country, somebody kicks you out, or you're feeling, betrayed by society, you will gain from this. How would you look at me? How would you look at me? Okay. Which is one of the reasons I've been very cautious about opening myself to readings, but I am open to readings. And the today I woke up with the radical acceptance of this, and the understanding that those experiences where I feel outside of the waters of society, okay? I feel not included, I feel not a part of, a later blooming into tremendous leadership in my field, and basically advocating for those people who feel outcast in society, and connecting with the common people, and kind of explaining how we can open our mind more, and how it's beneficial, and how it touches everyday person. With money, it's easy to explain this. If your 401k is invested in medicine, let's say, and it doesn't seem like a bad thing, but the medicine is corrupt. Okay, somebody is given medicine, they don't want this medicine causes them to be violent, causes them to have expenses that they didn't think. Now, you are basically invested in your own debt, okay? And not like, Elon Musk is doing this. Okay, Elon Musk, he will have profits, but in the form of options. So opportunities to buy stocks. Okay, that's what he buys and sells. And so he has a lot of money, but it's not in his bank account. So he takes a loan. It pays good percentage, maybe 3%, not more, and earns, let's say, I don't know, let's say earns 6% a year. So he made 3% clean. Okay, no money is written on his name. But this is not what I'm talking about with when people say you will own nothing and be happy. This is not what I'm talking about. Okay, because you're not protecting the wealth that you make decisions on. You're basically not making decisions on any wealth, and that's where the issue stems from. And when you invest in the weapon industry, it is very clear that you're investing in your own debt, not because weapon is bad, but because of the corrupt way it is used. Okay? If you invest, let's take Viagra. Viagra allowed a lot of people with penis have sex, willingly consensual sex with people that they care about. That it prolonged the age where you can enjoy longevity. But Viagra was also used to rape people, and still used to rape people as an act of war, as a part of the war. So governments buy Viagra to give to their soldiers. And of course, in both cases, you can die from heart attack from the side effect of this pill. But of course, a soldier that has to take this for like a full shift, he was very likely to die. And if they tell you, we're going to kill your sister if you don't do this, then it's a problem. It's not that men are evil. It's that the people who play power in such a way that is very constricting to our ability to make good choices that are nourishing for us, nourishing for humanity. And in fact, to make good choices that are nourishing for us and nourishing for humanity, we need to pave the path. Okay, we need to get out of the 22 catch, and just being aware of it, just knowing that that's how it works. Just meditate on this. Just take it with your morning coffee, and that's a way that is easy to approach people. But with that, there is a lot of frustration. There is a lot of being pushed to the corner and having to talk and having to give a speech from there. That is very annoying. And so I woke up with a little more of radical acceptance, and I was sleeping on the roller cross side. Didn't even know it. And that was kind of my morning. And also with the memories of the times where I did that. Okay, times where I did that. When I was 12 years old, we had this competition at school where we were different classes, and there was a sports event or whatever we had to do, and we had to write a song. And so there was a song that people took and were singing in buses, and it was basically a cursing song. I think it was about rape. I don't know, like, why were people singing this? But I took the melody of this song and I created the hymn for our class, and of course, our class won. Okay, because it had the morale and they had this. This song was like, very catchy and bringing kind of like all the hormones together. But I just gave the right words to it, and then you know. And so even when I was 12 years old, I was saying, oh, I should do what Hitler did, but instead of putting Holocaust in it, I should put something good for humanity. And here I am almost in my 40s. This catches up to me again. My country is going through a religious revolution. Um, the world is going through a global financial revolution. It's masqueraded as world war and pandemics. And I understand it was the same in the two world wars that I was not aware of. Because you heard about eugenics, you heard about racial theories, you heard about the motherland, you heard about, but you did not hear about, well, going from gold money to fiat money, which is not backed up by gold, which eventually happened in the 50s for the United States. So it's kind of mean like that your reserves are not backed up. Okay, this is words, and it has pros. Okay, it has pros where you don't have to have the gold to have your word means something. And lo and behold, this happened with the leadership of America. It's not necessarily a bad thing that your word is good enough to get you resources. That being said, to get us there, it took a long way. And there's a problem whose words matter now, the plutocracy or the people behind the people who sets the decisions over the money. Okay, are wealthy people now, okay, are not backed up by assets, but they backed up by options. And by the way, I have Aries in the second house with Mercury in it, okay? I'm speaking as the person who is potential to make money is from these things. And this is why I'm looking with 1,000 eyes on these industries to see how do we do it, but ethically sourced. Okay. So when you understand that your freedom is to be able to make the decisions that are nourishing for you, it's not just any decision. If you have, I don't know, $1 billion and all you do is, try all kinds of different drugs and they're not useful to you and you get addicted, or you have sex with people, with children that you're not supposed to have sex with, and it corrupts your spirit, then you're not making good choices in life. Doesn't matter the millions that you have. But the choices that are actually nourishing for our well-being, okay, to take a trip, to learn from other people, to go to another country, to grow forests, to do the stuff that we're meant to do with wealth, and even to have the ability to not do nothing. People think this is bad. It's not bad. The ability to not do nothing, to do nothing, it's allowing forests to grow. It's allowing things to bloom. It's allowing the fact that you're not over harvesting, that you're not overpopulating. Okay, if you're tantric about your sexuality, there's only so many children you're going to have if you can take care of them. Okay, some people will have a lot of children. Some people will have 1, 2 children, and you want the children to have a good life. So you're not going to overpopulate and have to go to wars and to conquer and to this. It's not necessary. How do you do this? Practice tantric sexuality. And tantra is not sexuality. Tantra is indulging in the sensual experience and really absorbing it so that you don't go overboard. Okay, it's dealing with not denying yourself the things that you like, but indulging in them and absorbing the experience so that you get what you need to get from there, but not go overboard. So those were my thoughts, what I woke up with. Things that are happening this week. Well, Venus rises, I think at about the 19 or so, or before that even a bit. And Sirius rises, so I'm thankful to Lada Duncheva for reminding us that this the heliacal rise of Sirius. I don't know if this is the exactly heliacal rise right now, or if it's just the time that the Egypt were celebrating, because yeah, but this is a good week for Sirius. On the 19th is considered the new year from the vantage point of Sirius related to Egyptian culture. So pick up your Sirius talismans. They're good for protection. They're good for gifted honors from leaders, reconciliation, all that jolly stuff. Great, great fixed star to work with because of Saturn. Because of Saturn's placement that is still affecting, it would be more difficult to make like talismans that are very pure and clear in their effect. But you know, but the Saturn is retrograde. It is trining, so it's not squaring. It's not opposing. It's just that there can be perhaps a limiting factor that can even assist um, in a way that is unpredictable. So it's not a clear Sirius talisman if you try to make it Sirius. It sits about I think 14, 15 degrees of Cancer now. So this is a fixed star Sirius. And now let's go to, oh, I didn't tell you about the chart. Yes, the chart that we began with was the ascendant was between Mercury and Mars. Now it's already a Sun Sol, but it was a Mars hour, and the midheaven was in Gemini. So we had the Mercury, it's a double Mercury with Mercury in the 19 degrees. Moon is Mercury ruled. And now we are with the midheaven on Mars. Mars has moved from the 22nd degree of Virgo, so Mars is 23 degrees Virgo, trining Uranus in 23 degrees Taurus, okay? And it's not surprising that upon this trine, I woke up kind of like with more acceptance as to my revolutionary role, agent of revolution, as many people are, okay? It's nothing unusual. So yes, Sun and Lilith conjunct now, 24 degrees Leo, as they are squaring Uranus, and Venus in 18 degrees Leo applies to square Jupiter. Jupiter still direct in Taurus, here in the 9th house. So without further ado, what we want to talk about is Pisces, which is on the descendant here. Let's talk about the full moon in Pisces. So for those of you who want to listen to it again, we are in 18 minutes. I can't write it. I will need to write it in the comments if I remember. So monthly astro calendar. Let's go. This is astroseek.com with the courtesy of Peter. And we are looking at the full moon in Pisces, 31 August. So at the end of the month, we opened the month with a lunation. Yesterday we had a new moon in Leo, we talked about. I kind of got like gloomy stuff along with exciting stuff. I don't know, I haven't checked the news. Maybe I will, in the end, maybe I will look at it. Ascendant Leo. Oh, Ascendant Leo. No, yeah, sorry. Scrap that. Because it's a different ascendant for different people. It's going to be a full moon in 7 degrees Pisces, so just separating from Saturn. The sun is in Virgo, moon is in Pisces. Okay, full moon opposition. This full moon is just separating from Saturn. On the level of traditional planets and outer planets, it's not doing much, but Uranus is already retrograde. Okay, Uranus retrograde, Chiron retrograde, Neptune retrograde, Saturn still retrograde, Pluto retrograde, and we are Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. Okay, I don't remember how many planets I counted. So Jupiter will be about to go retrograde in September, and we'll have the entire sky going backwards. Okay, This means that, and of course, it's an illusion, but this illusion matters because what if you look at the picture, okay, and you see a frame, you are responding, you're interacting with that frame. Here you see, let's say, a soldier shoots a child. Okay, you're responding to that frame, and it's written the soldier is Ukrainian. Now you hate Ukraine, right? Then you see another frame, you see the soldier is Russian. It's a different frame. You respond to this frame. With the skies, is the same. This is how we can both account for the idea that our existence here and our experience is an illusion and that it is very real, because what we see affects us. The way that the planets, it's not just what we see, we have other senses too. Gravity is a sense as well. Okay? Spirituality is a sense as well. Okay? And so this is why it's so important to have beliefs that actually nourish you about God. So, we have a separation from Saturn retrograde. In the background, we have this interesting triangle between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto retrograde. It's a very, very rare trine and sextile combined that we are building up to towards 2026. And will be on and off until I think 2029. Molly McCord addressed this. I haven't watched the entire video. I think I was the first who looked at it, and I was trying to look when was it in the past. In the past 1,000 years, we didn't have that. I was not able to search more because I don't have the tools. But in the past 1,000 years, we did not have this yoga, okay, this union of stars in this particular shape. So it's just to get you to understand, these are outer planets, it's not Venus, Moon, this is a very, very rare times. We're talking about more than 1,000 years, something very big is changing in life on Earth. I don't know to what extent, because I don't know when was the last time that we had it. But if it's probably highly religious, okay, if you think about thousands of years ago, you think about monotheism. Okay, we had changes to religion, and indeed I saw, you want to dig up the episodes, and you're gonna have to do a little bit of digging, because nobody looked at it but me. Until now. Now we're getting closer to that. So we have, Molly McCord pops up and more astrologers will pop up and pay attention to that. But I pretty much was the first that I know that looked at it and understood the intensity of how rare this event. If I miscalculated something, then of course maybe I'm wrong, but we just did not have that. As far as anybody that we know alive on Earth that has of descent of human, we did not have that. Okay, so this can be something very. If it was, let's say, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, then perhaps we're changing our religions and spirituality in a very dramatic way. If it was something more than that, it can literally be changing species. Okay, we are changed like Homo erectus to Homo sapiens or something like this. So it is big. When will it happen? Does it happen immediately in those years? Does it happen after those years? I don't know, but it's something quite tremendous. And this is already building up in the skies. Okay. I already did that. I'm already working with a talisman that captures this energy in the retrograde, so it's very potent. And with round moon, I do not prescribe this. Okay, it is it's something that I was called to do, something highly experimental, and it's the kind of like, if we didn't have the Marie Curies of the world, we wouldn't know about nuclear energy. Maybe that's not a bad thing. But but it's that level of experimental in terms of how not advised it is, okay, to go with this energy. But I still felt the calling that I want to capture this energy. I want to work with this energy. I want to. I see that great things are being called for, like denuclearification. What does it mean? How do we practically do this in a way that's actually nourishing for humanity, and so on and so forth. So there were a couple of things that came up there, and I will, as far as I can, try to capture this energy again when I meet it, and let you know. Meanwhile, with this Moon Rahu in my second, I had quite some expenses, so I don't know if I'll be able to keep up. But yeah. So, but also gains. So this is just separating from retrograde Saturn. So this is what's happened on this planet level. Okay. In the background, we're going to have Mars separating from Neptune. Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter is going to be sort of a trine in Mercury. The Sun is sort of applying to trine Jupiter. So Jupiter is the ruler of the moon, and the ruler of the Sun is Mercury. They're in a sort of a trine. Mercury is retrograde, and the fact that the ruler of the Sun here is retrograde, and that is Mercury, and is in between trine in Uranus and trine in Jupiter. We are rethinking a revolution. We are bringing something into fruition. Or we are completing a redoing of something, but we're also amidst redoing of something. It's a cycle within cycle, as it always is. You always want with full moon to think about what happened 6 months ago, before that, and what happened a year ago. So what happened in August 2022 for you? You can look back at what happened. August is the 8th. So what happened in February 2023 for you? What was in February? I don't remember. I'm an astrologer and I didn't write it down for me. And what happened in August? Because those things will tell you what is finishing up. Okay, what are you culminating? I might have my garlic growing, like another garlic harvest, perhaps. But garlic is 9 months actually. So think about these 6 months and what is finishing up, because full moons are about to let go of something. You see the entirety of the moon. So when you see the entirety of the moon, you see the entirety of a certain reflection that you had upon reality in Pisces. And so as you see the entirety of that reflection, you see the fruit of your labor, perhaps, then it's time to let go. What happens when you have fruit yield? You take the fruits and you eat the fruits, or you preserve the fruits, but it's time to let go. Okay, that the plant lets go. With passion flower, it's beautiful, because how do you know that the passion flower fruit is ready? Passion fruit is ready. They just drop to the ground. Okay, they just drop to the ground, and you can eat them. You can open them up and eat them, or preserve them. So this is how you know, okay? And that literally means that the plant lets go of the fruit. Fruit is full, is ripe, it drops. That's it, okay? And this is, and when I think about the wisdom of passion fruit in this sense, is so intelligent. It's kind of like, it's fresh, I don't need this. I just drop it. People are going to pick it up. Animals are going to pick it up. Okay, I grow this and I drop this. I let it go. What a complete, sovereignty. I just grew this fruit and I release it to the air. I release it. It doesn't stay on the plant. It doesn't wait for you to harvest. It doesn't wait for you. It lets go. These will find their owners. This will find the people, or this will go back to the soil. And this is the wisdom of a full moon. You can release something that even good things that were good in your life. Okay, this was good. Now, next cycle. Now I have to let this go. This was a good time. Now I have to let this go. So it's not just bad things. It's not just, oh, release what no longer serves in terms of, oh, those people are rotten. It's like you release these people before they are rotting. Okay, you learn to release of something before it rots, before it becomes a drain. You just release that. You let it go. Okay. Now somebody might eat this fruit and they will be more healthy. But for you, you let this go. That's it. Maybe you wrote a story. Okay, you release it. You made some creation, talisman. Okay, you launch it, you release it. That's it. It's out there. And so while we want to launch something on a growing moon because we want it to catch on to rebloom, but also it's a time where you release your hold of this fruit. You release your hold of this fruit and you allow it to get to where it needs to get. Even if it's nourishing the soil, which is not bad. If it rots on the ground, it nourishes the soil, it nourishes you. Okay? But if it rots on you, it's a drain on your system. Who are the beings, people, circumstances in our life that we don't want them to rot on us? Okay, if they decay outside of us, they are nourishing for us. But if they're rotting on our being, then we are rotting with them. Okay, you need a little distance. So you let go of that. So you're not letting go of the dead. You're letting go of the fully living in full moon. Okay. And with Saturn here retrograde, of course, I got agriculture imagery, plant imagery. And indeed, in full moon, you harvest. It's a harvesting time. Now I want to take a look at the asteroids. And let's see what is a more complete picture. So first of all, I don't see any main asteroids touching on Moon and Sun or Jupiter, and even to a certain degree Mercury. Mercury is sextile in Psyche, but other than that, I don't see. There's and the Moon is sextile in Polos. I don't see any hard manifesting aspects there. Okay. Aries is not involved with this lunation, which is going to be a relief from Aries themes. But it also means that we're not letting go of that Aries-related variants of, viruses and stuff. Poisons. Okay, Aries is ruled by Mars now. This is poisons. Much better that we address them as poisons rather than other medical attacks that are incorrect to the essence of what they are. These are poisons, and the poisons that are now being spread and affecting people, causing perhaps disease and death, are not going to be involved. There's not going to be a change, whether for good or for bad, in the spread of these poisons with this full moon. Okay, even though viruses are Pisces ruled, so we might have a culmination regarding to virus-related issues. but poison-related issues still continue to affect us. It, like I said, on a mundane level, we're dealing mainly with poisons, and to some degree with also viruses, but we're dealing with poisons. So yes, you know me, I cannot go a single forecast without doing something revolutionary. It is me. I'm gonna have to say what I see. Uh, and maybe I see right, maybe I see wrong, but it's definitely not algorithms that know the answer. Huh? So, um, I can't ignore the little thing we have here in Aquarius for a while now. And this is not a lunation thing, it's just an ongoing thing. We have a retrograde Hygeia, which does square Jupiter. This is why, from the Jupiter perspective, I didn't see anything, but I looked at this Hygeia, Eros, and Chariklo are all squaring Jupiter in their retrograde phase. So let's go over them, okay? Let's begin with the good stuff. Eros. Eros is our erotic desires. And retrograde is like Venus retrograde. We are rethinking our erotic desires. So we may go back to erotic desires that we had. And we are rethinking them, but we are also reliving them, reigniting the fire. Eros retrograde is reigniting the fire. In Aquarius, there can be sapiosexuality-related eroticism. It is interesting because people talk about Aquarius as the man and the robot, but I've also seen this with a tropical Gemini-related nakshatra of, I think it was Rohini, but not sure. So Gemini, I would say this is Gemini, not less than Aquarius. So maybe you have, can we revive the Frankenstein fetish? Do I even have to give the credit to who said that? You know what? Guess in the comments who said that. So we can revive the Frankenstein eroticism, Frankenstein kink, or whatever. But this is just the good stuff. And with the square to Jupiter, it may be a bit of an exaggerated fantasy, or it's a good time for kink. Or maybe you tried to do some sexual fantasy and you didn't like it so much, now you try again. This can be successful. But there is an opposition to Venus retrograde, so it's kind of like with Eros and Venus retrograde, you're thinking your desires twofold, and one way in which you're rethinking your desires is opposing the other way in which you're thinking these desires. Okay, so you maybe thinking of, maybe I'm rethinking my kink, but the people that I want to do this with, I'm rethinking them also. And there's an opposition there. There's a conflict. It's like, hey, this person is very sexy, but I want to do this kink. Or, hey, I want to do this kink. Oh, but this person is wanting to do something else. And we are both rethinking what we like right now. So this is funny. That's happening. I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should tell it. I won't tell it. But, it's kind of those things. That's okay. Then we have Hygeia. And Hygeia is about hygiene. I want to tell you a funny story that I saw in a short. I think it's channel of Kenzie. I don't remember the other name. And she's African. I don't remember if I don't think she's from Uganda. I know there is Akech is from Uganda, Angela is from Uganda, but I think Kenzie is, I think, Nigeria. I'm not sure. So she's having this. There's a trend of people from many countries in Africa educating people about Africa through sarcasm. And she said, I did not understand when there was COVID, everybody were telling everybody to wash their hands globally. And I saw this videos about washing their hands. He said, for us, we wash our hands when we wake up in the morning, before a meal, after a meal. We wash our hands when we go to the bathroom, when we go out of the bathroom. We just, it's a cultural thing. We just wash. So when when COVID came up, everybody were telling everybody to wash their hands. I was like, we we do it all the time, and that was very interesting. So Hygeia retrograde, it's very much those kind of things. Like there is a person living in another culture. For me, it is the 12th house, so I saw a person living in a completely other culture that I haven't been in, although it's nearby, it's Africa. And talking about hygiene in relation to their culture and rethinking COVID. Okay, so this is an updated video. It's not the 2 years ago video, I think. So you kind of go back to thinking about what happened when Hygeia was direct, and maybe not only this time, but also previous times, and kind of like rethinking hygiene. It's like, who doesn't wash their hands before and after food? Stuff like that. But there is something about hygiene that you're rethinking. Okay, hygiene, like I said, is also related to politics and times of change. Okay, times of change, people tend to clean stuff. You notice, when do you tend to clean stuff? When you want to bring change, you want to bring energy. I've been trying to clean my house, and I would clean something, and then I would do something that gets even more dirty. I'm like, the fuck is going on? Hygeia is retrograde. And I need to think about those themes. I need to think holistically about cleansing and cleaning, and and what is actually going on. And I see that those things are very much related to things at large. So learning about hygiene and the holistic, what affects hygiene. We're having these thoughts. There is a culmination there. Maybe there is a eureka. Maybe there is a letting go of habits. Maybe we have understood something, and we changed something, and now we're letting go of an old habit regarding to the way we preserve our hygiene. Okay, and with Jupiter Taurus, it can be to do with something that affects our voice, or something, maybe the food we eat, or certain types of sugars. I ran into keto cookies recently, and I found them adorable. Or it can be something central to do with our senses. So how do we clean our body before we self-pleasure, or do we do something the other way around in order to get us to preserve our cleanliness, and how is that related? There was a video I recorded, but I feel it's like I need to see people ready for this more than but yeah, it's those things. So Hygeia, even though it's talking about hygiene, it's also talking about themes of genocide, DNA purification through eugenics, especially in Aquarius, huh? Okay, castrating people. How do we deal with the sick? How do we deal with the Saturn people of Aquarius? Hygiene in exile, hygiene in travel, religion, the connection between religion and hygiene. Think about, Islam is a great example for this, because there are so many things to do with hygiene in Islam. Okay, and we think also the religion and history. Okay, there's the historical context for religion. For example, if the prohibition on killing oneself came traditionally from a time in history where there were Jesuits who were wanting to get to the next world, so much so that they would catch a person in the street and threaten them that if they don't kill them, Okay, so somebody comes to you and says, if you don't kill me, I kill you. Okay, and so suicide became forbidden because clergymen, people in church saw it and they said, okay, this is not useful for humanity, this is inducing crime. And so the belief around death changed, and suddenly we had a prohibition around suicide. Okay, it's historical. And then people, in 2023, it's like, suicide is a sin. It's the easy way out. It was like, that was relevant to the maybe 16th century, 15th century. We're in 2023 right now. So, but the greatest weirdness of all is, of course, the hygiene around our genitals. But this is more Scorpio related than Saturn. So that's the point for this conversation. And also things are done about this when it comes to penises, when it comes to vaginas and clitoris. There's just still a way to go. Okay, understanding that it's not something that you need to cut out of the body. It's something that is inducing pleasure, and pleasure is cleansing. Okay, orgasm is cleansing. Okay, the water that come out is cleansing. It's cleansing the body. They're made in our kidneys. So we're cleansing our kidneys to orgasm and to squirt and to get the fluids out. It's good. Anyway, Chariklo. Chariklo retrograde. Chariklo is, I don't remember if she was the sister or the wife of Chiron. And Chariklo retrograde, the type of healing that Chariklo brings is ethereal. Okay, it is allowing you to be with things and receive healing from perhaps art or singing or frequencies and waves, because this is Aquarius, so frequencies and waves or different galaxies. Okay, she's so far remote from the earth that her type of healing is just different. Okay, and her being retrograde, you kind of like reminded of those experiences, or you're reprocessing something with the assistance of Chariklo, and you might be dealing with those things that are actually remote from your physical experience. You might be perfectly healthy, but there's something going on with your soul that you're reprocessing. And if you do this on a soul level and consciousness level, you might even be able to avoid that being translated into physical ailment. So this is the role of Chariklo here. There's a culmination around those themes in your life. So, and the letting go of something that bothered you. Okay, maybe I'll be able to finally clean my house and keep it clean. It's so it's been annoying, but yes. The ruler of Jupiter is Venus. She's still retrograde. Okay, the ruler of the sun is retrograde. The ruler of the moon is retrograde. Venus is in 12 degrees now, separating from a square to Jupiter, and in opposition to Hygeia, Eros, and Chariklo. Okay, so again, the nature of what Venus retrograde is doing is at odds. There's tension between that and what those things that happen in your Aquarius house are doing. So, for example, I'm trying to clean, let's say I try to clean the bathroom. And when you clean the house, everything goes to the bathroom. You try to clean the bathroom, then you say, oh, damn, I want to shower. But you just washed the towel that you cleaned the floor with. And now it's just you're sitting there and you're tired, you're exhausted mentally. Now you have to go back to your 12th house. What's exhausting you mentally? What have you been cleaning, darling? Have you been cleaning the war in Ukraine? Have you been cleaning the refugee crisis? What have you been cleaning? You're exhausted because of this. Okay? And so you just want to take a shower. You're like, I wanted to have my salt bath. Okay, but you were just busy cleaning something else, and now there's a place for this and there's a place for that, and then you sometimes have to give place to both. Um, and that can be a bit of tension there, especially around literally, you can be literally trying to clean stuff or clear stuff, or even around some sort of energy cleanse. For example, let's say you have you just want to feel like better and you're affected by the energies of the world. So you want to have an energy cleanse. You want to have, let's say, a salt bath. You want to have this salt bath, but you're so exhausted that you cannot clean the place in itself, and you can't ask for help from anybody to have this salt bath because people don't understand what you're doing. And they are a part of the reason that you want to do this salt bath anyway. That is what we're dealing with. And so I don't see a resolution to the tension in this lunation. Okay, it's a full moon, but it's just like tensions are culminating more so than resolved. Okay, and perhaps the resolution is by letting go of the entire. Pisces is about surrender. Pisces is about letting go. Okay, Pisces is about understanding this is too big for me to handle right now, and I'm surrendering it to the greater void, to the greater, you know, current of things. Whatever you have in Pisces has this facet of fluidity that can be intensely deep and also intensely shallow. Okay, the ocean is both the surface of the ocean and the underneath, okay, the depth of the ocean. Yeah, both are Pisces. So it can be something incredibly shallow pointing to something incredibly deep. I freaking want to take a salt bath. This is killing me now. What you have challenges in doing so, and with the challenges, you're understanding what is it that's affecting your spirit so much so that you need to take a salt bath now. Okay, that. So let's go back to a more clean picture. Do we have something interesting going with the fixed stars? Do we have a fixed stars view here? Yes, we do. So yes, of course. So we have a Lula Tuba, which I'm going to check what it is. And we have Fomalhaut, but next to the moon, we also have Sadalancha, Bilmidal, okay. Matar next to Neptune. Menka next to Jupiter. And the Rahu is next to LPH something, and I need to see what is this. So we have a lot to check. I want to check the, okay, so first of all, for Fomalhaut. Fomalhaut is a fixed star in Pisces, the beginning of Pisces, I think 3 or 4 degrees Pisces. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, so Menkar is with Jupiter. Fomalhaut is with Saturn, so 4 degrees. Sadal Melek, 3 degrees Pisces. Sadal Chebia with the moon. So, we have 2 fixed stars with the moon. So let's check the ones with the moon. Hi, Lizzie. Biham Astrology. Not Birmingham. fixed was I star. Let's see, was I Biham. It's in the Pegasus constellation, is it? Wait. Biham in Pegasus constellation, Theta, have all those astronomical details that I don't know how to tie into spiritual meaning. So we have Pegasus, and Biham is kind of like on the temple of the face of that horse-looking flying object. Yeah, on the head of the flying horse, but you can see it's like on the temple. So they were 10th century Persian astronomical writer Al-Sufi's Sa'd al-Bahim, the good of luck of two beasts. Okay. Yes. The thirsty camels. Okay. So we have on Pegasus. Pegasus was born from the blood of Medusa. So Algol, which is another fixed star, is basically two, if I'm not mistaken, is two that keep eclipsing each other. So this is Algol with the myth of Medusa. And Medusa basically was raped, and her throat was cut off, and her hair turned into snakes. And so she became a talisman. And everybody that would look in the eyes of Medusa, she was so enraged that everybody that would look in her eyes, they would they would become a stone. Okay, and mundanely, very bad things happen, but magically, she's protective. She's talisman of those bad things. Okay, so Pegasus was born from the blood of Medusa after Perseus had cut off her head, and was afterward tamed and ridden by Bellerophon. Being wary of the earthly affairs, Bellerophon attempted to fly to heaven, but fell off. Pegasus continued his course, entered heaven, and took his place among the stars. So he was outthrowing or outreaching Bellerophon, who attempted to fly to heaven. Pegasus managed to enter heaven. He was born from the blood of Medusa, and he entered heaven. Influences. According to Ptolemy, the bright stars are like Mars and Mercury. Constellation gives ambition, vanity, intuition, enthusiasm, caprice, and bad judgment. Okay? Ambition, intuition, and bad judgment. Intuition and bad judgment. Okay, this is the dual nature of tropical Pisces. And with Fomalhaut, we have this psychic knowledge. Now let's see what about the other fixed stars. So the constellation of Pegasus portends events concerning ships in the ocean and changes in the weather. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm saying this whenever the moon touches Saturn, okay? But unfortunately, this lunation that happens in this constellation can involve maritime disasters. It's just life. And because of the involvement of Hygeia and Jupiter being on land, there can be an effect on the land. Okay, so okay, because Jupiter is in an earth sign, the ruler, okay? If Pisces is in an earth sign, we can have ecological disasters. I predict it to be more so than tsunamis, but I could be totally wrong, okay? So there can be ecological disasters. Maybe a ship, kind of crushes, and then the fuel spreads around the oceans, and then it affects also the shore and the animals. And unfortunately, this is something that can be. such ecological disaster. And sometimes those disasters are triggering to environmental movement to clean the oceans. So, yeah, we need to think in those terms too. In medieval times, it was said to indicate vain individuals with a great deal of ambition but very poor judgment. Okay. The Pegasus syndrome, as exemplified in the legends of Perseus, and know that this gives you both intuition and good intuition and bad judgment, because it's the dual sense of Pisces. It doesn't make any sense, but this is what it is. The legend of Perseus and Bellerophon is concerned with the innate ability possessed by some people to negotiate difficulties by rising above them on the one hand, and the danger of overreaching themselves on the other. Pegasus by birth is the child of Medusa and Neptune. Okay, is a child that was born from rape. Okay, symbols of wisdom and emotion, respectively, which shows the dichotomy of his nature. As in the story, Bellerophon attempted to fly to the Olympus, overreached his potential. Okay. He believed that Pegasus was subject to his will. However, it was Pegasus who made it to the Olympus, while Bellerophon was tossed back to earth, lame and reproached by others. It is unwise to take any situation for granted as the lesser person, or in this case, beast. May be the very one to teach us the much needed lesson of humility. Okay, so those that we are considered bestial, they can teach us humility when it comes to these placements. So that can be a lot of people considered refugees as bestial. You know, racism is still on. Or people that didn't make good choices in their lives, you know, kind of like this. But sometimes meeting these people actually promotes humility. Okay, these are people that dealt with having no home and having to find a home within no home. Okay, so a lot of humility there. Pegasus is also indicative of a specific mission in life which the inquirer will always find the time and the energy to pursue. Although the path may be sown with difficulties, the chimera and limitations, Bellerophon's doubt or arrogance. So, Pegasus syndrome is the seeming ability to fly over any situation, though the reverse may be a lesson of humility being taken down a peg, as it were. So you can try to fly above your difficulties. Okay, I have Palasatina in this constellation, and I was writing a satire when I was Me Too veteran, and my goal was to rise above this, to say, okay, what do I do want, and focus on my vision. Then I went to two therapists, both clinically trained, and one of them just did not get me eventually. So he opened my eyes to see that there is abuse, but then he flipped and it became very weird because I began to expose this abuse. We got cold feet. But he also didn't understand my experiences. So the therapist tells me, talk about your experience, talk about your experience. Talk about my experience. They look at me like I'm a ghost. Okay, fine. Then the second person was clinically trained, and they were also hurting me. The second person was also trained in academia, and they were hurting me. They were part of a system of a very unjust system, that they are part of the welfare that takes children from the parent that don't hurt them instead of assisting the parent, or at the juncture where a parent can still do good for their child, instead of assisting the parent, they take the child away. But they keep the children back with the parents that do violate them. So he is unfortunately a part of that, and he also treats these children. And the way I reached to him is I wanted to treat my childhood, or the history of childhood that I went through, like sexual violation stuff, and when I was a child. So this is how I met him. And you see, I wanted to rise above my challenges. Wanted to rise above my challenges. I talked about pleasure culture. I learned how to communicate with my vagina. I did all those things. I took a job that I was selling like sex education courses. I was like, I'm going to take it to that place. And I wrote a satire about like everything. It's like I was doing everything right to try to rise above these challenges, but still that psychologist kind of brought me down. It's kind of like, and then it was a form of humility, because I understood how deeply ingrained the entire system, more so than I thought. It's not only that I was right, I was wrong in how little right things I expressed, because there's just so much more to that. And then you run into like global web of welfares that kidnap children that are not registered, and how only when I treated me as a child by abusive, not abusive, but downright horrid, person that I had astral sex with. So it was very, very intimate encounter with that which you don't want to see in the world. So in that sense, there was a lot of intuition, but also it is very bad judgment to go to someone who is clinically trained in the academia when you wrote a satire about the academia and they are part of the system. But I did not have the time to see this. I was too busy doing other things and trying to heal, basically. And so that is where, it kind of like you brought back down to earth. Go, back down to earth. Look at this. We're trying to heal what? Your fertility, your desire to live and to maybe even bring life. But look what happens to children. Look, see, the person you slept with, see, he does that. Okay? That. And so that is a very, it's kind of like bringing you back down to earth. It's kind of like more humility into the present, the experience of actually being a victim, which is horrifying. Pegasus, the winged horse, will appear and gallop aloft the heavens. It will bring forth people endowed with swiftness of movement and limbs, alert to perform every task. One man will cause his horse to wheel round in caracals, and proudly mounted its back, he will wage war from on high. Okay. Horseman and soldier in one. So this is another dual man and animal. Okay, so the beast and the man. And horses, which is Pisces animal, they are very strong, they're very powerful, but they also injure quite easily. And they suffer tremendously when they are injured. So yeah. Another will possess the ability to rob the race course of its true length, such as his speed, that he will seem to dissemble the movement of his feet, Pisces, and make the ground vanish before him. Okay, take the ground away. Pisces also rules the ocean. Who more swiftly could fly back from the ends of the earth as messenger, or with a light foot to the earth's end make his way. He will also heal the horse wounds. Okay, so tremendous, miraculous healing with the sap of common plants. Plants is Virgo, okay, the other polarity. And will know the herbs which bring aid to an animal limbs and those which grow for the use of man. So herbology. Okay. That is the constellation. Oh, this is another one. But I'm looking into the stars themselves. I see constellation Pegasus, Biham, let's say Yoga Esoterics. That's nice. Fixed. Okay, these are all the fixed stars. So Biham, having the nature of between Mars and Mercury, the youngest from the domestic animals. Said to be a lucky star, influence should be considered in general assembly of the constellation. So it can give you luck, like the youngest of animals. I don't know what to make of this, but at least we got one out of the stars. And here is Sadalabchia, which is another one that's involved in this formation. This is 6 degrees Pisces, so right next to the moon, and between Venus and Mercury. The lucky star of the tents. Immediately after it rose in the spring, the tents of the nomads were raised again on the green fields. Oh, a lucky star of secret things. Comes from the fact that, together with this uprise, everything that before was hidden or difficult to find now became visible. Oh, so now we have something to work with. Okay, the moon going over this fixed star, culminating, and if we lost something 6 months ago or something we were looking for, it can be even a diagnosis of something, of an ailment, of a disease that brings healing. It's like, oh, you're dealing with that. Oh, that's easy to solve. We have this herb, that herb. Okay? But if you didn't know you're dealing with that, think about people who have mononucleosis. Okay, mononucleosis is a nervous system thingy. A good herb for that is lemon balm. So lemon balm is good for the nervous system. It's something you want to use when you have mononucleosis, because you understand you're tackling the nerves. Okay? But it doesn't seem like that. You're just like fatigued, you're tired, you have a lump in your throat. But eventually what you're dealing with is the nervous system. Okay. Or even certain aspects of COVID. You're dealing with the lungs. So it's lungs, respiratory system, which is also Jupiter, but it's also a nervous system. Okay? Now say, oh, we're dealing with the nervous system, no problem. Here are the herbs for the nervous system. We just didn't know we're dealing with the nervous system. It originates in the nervous system. Okay? So that is what this star can bring about is this, oh, I found this. And if it has to do with an ailment, then you will find the right herbs that you need to tackle this ailment if you conjoin the effect of these two stars. So now we understand. You can get the right, maybe you've gotten the wrong treatment, especially if you have Pisces Virgo in your 6th house, 12th house. So you could have gotten the wrong treatment for your ailment. Or if they have been treating you for this. Now with this full moon, you can get a new diagnosis. You can get to understand, oh, it was actually that, and find the right herbs and actually heal yourself. That's the way that it can come about. Maybe there are certain things that were that you need to, or maybe it can be even a whistle-blowing kind of thing. Okay, you expose certain information and you exposing one thing, now the right thing comes to you. I gave my previous example. I was looking at the structure of the army, the academia, the regime, and the private and public sector. What was missing, and unfortunately I got it by tragedy, was the welfare and kidnapping of children and the healthcare and welfare system as serving child offenders, offenders against children. And that was like, oh, shit. And the entire treatment that is given when a person deals with a mental crisis is castrating. So they make them not able to have children. This is what they do. Still, they just call it in various names. And they also make sure that the person either becomes violent or they die. So this is the effect of beta blockers, which is they prescribe, and this is chemical castration. So it's like, oh shit. Oh shit, they just want you to not multiply because you said no to violence. So we have not moved that much from Foucault's history of insanity in the age of enlightenment. Sozusagen. So, lucky stars. Discover all that is hidden. Okay, so if you are a whistleblower, if you are looking into secret sciences, maybe it's in your 8th house, you want to know occult science, you want to know, like, occult is simply hidden, the science of what you don't, what people don't talk about, mysteries, then it's a good time. Maybe at this time, you see, like I said, you see the full reflection of the moon, which is a reflection from the light of the sun. You see the full moon. So you see the full picture. Now you're seeing the full picture of the story. You discover what is hidden. It indicates the best time for modifications that can be paved with success as it is placed and well aspected in the theme. Okay, so this is a part of what we are having. Das was Pegasus. I see that Fomalhaut is not a part of Pegasus, so that's good to know. Fixed stars and constellations. Yes, was it here? Yes. So we had the fixed stars. We talked about the fixed stars around the moon, which is Sedalancha and Biham. And now we have the fixed star that is Alula Tuba. Let's take a look down here. So we have, okay, the sun is with Alula Borealis and Alula Australis and Tuban. Okay, so those are in the Virgo part. We have Tuban, Alula Australis, Alula Borealis. So let's just take a look at those. Let's see Tuban. Tuban astrology. Fixed star Tuban. So the sun is beginning to rise here. And I'm having lower back problems because what I do when the sun rises, it says I don't have AC in this apartment, so I have to go to a place where there is AC, and usually it's a cafe or something. So lower back problems is financial worries. So the sun rises and I have financial worries. I might go to the airport. I'll take the Moldavite with. So fixed star Tuban Alpha Draconis is a 3.6 magnitude pale yellow star in the tail of the dragon Draco constellation. The sign is astrology king. The site is astrology king. The traditional name Tuban comes from the Arabic word Tuban. Okay, I'm relearning Arabic. I knew to read Arabic perfectly and I forgot everything. Tuban, which means large snake. It has been called the dragon's tail as Adib. Tuban is relatively inconspicuous star in the night sky of the northern hemisphere. It is historically significant as seen as having been the North Pole star from the 4th to 2nd millennium BCE. Oh, so they give us the North Pole. Despite being alpha star. Tuban is much fainter than Etamin, the brightest star in the constellation. So this is the constellation. Begins with Regulus in Leo, which is the royalty star. Just as I say Regulus, Lizzie came here, and I have a Leo sixth house, so she came here and sat on the floor, waiting for her. I'm gonna get her more food here. It is morning enough to feed. Yes, 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 you're absolutely right. We're gonna get you some food. So, and then Pekka in Virgo, and Tuban, later Zosma and Koksa. So those are the fixed stars. So yeah, as I said, Regulus, Lizzie reminded me that she wants to eat. Now, fixed star Tuban. It was the northern pole star 3,000 years ago. Judge of heaven. Wow. I'm so thankful. Just a shout out to all the great astrologers who talk about fixed stars like Astro Victor, Trifon, and anybody who mentions them when they do their forecasts, and how lovely it is to discover all of this, as well as the astrological magicians that we have that work with the fixed stars. So it was called the Judge of Heaven during the reign of the first Sargon, king of Akkad. And it can be seen from the bottom of the central passage of the Great Pyramid of Cheops. Having the fixed star turban in your astrology chart shows a depth of character. Okay? Artistic skills and passion for all the arts are found. So the sun is going to be here. And so we understand the culmination has to do with a certain artistic endeavor that is also healing if we take the other polarity of Pisces. So if you've been doing something with art that is also healing, maybe it's over, maybe you finished your artwork or launched it or got some honors thanks to it. Living a life where your talents are regularly seen and heard is a pathway offered here. Okay? So this is a bit hindered by Saturn. So Saturn is, it's a separating aspect, but Saturn is still opposing this point. It means that our talents and our skills are not so visible as we would like them to be. Singing, preaching, writing, and general leader are all promising with Tuban in your astrology chart. It does indicate a hard time with the family, situations where a lack of understanding and compromise spoil the mood for reconciliation. Although with patience, the Tuban star energy will take over and love connections will grow due to the complications. So it's kind of like things become complicated, but they actually get better. On the shadow side of Tuban, it's the star's energy. If it's used negatively, it backfires on us. If our intentions with our fellow men are not honest and forthcoming, an angel sets in, and anger sets in, creating mistakes and broken promises. Be sure to handle things in this time calmly and with gratitude. Remind yourself that the universe is testing you and act accordingly. So, grace, okay? Whatever we do here, we have to do it with grace. It's not from vengeance that we should act here. Whether it's by separation or by union, okay? We should definitely emphasize the grace. And so our artistic endeavors can flourish. Caught in the pattern of force over which we have no control and are relentless for change, this energy is best focused on analyzing the current situation. Travel opportunities and finances are favored. especially if others are included. Here is less the point because Saturn is limiting this. Just don't be slave to the addiction of emotional highs and lows, since this will isolate and divide. Again, we are given here a lot of advices that are very difficult to implement. But it kind of tells us that this is a star that's associated with people who are artistic but moody. And when they learn grace, that improves their relations with their families. So people who may even turn to art because then they are seen. Saturn in Pisces limits those people now. And so grace is even more needed. They're having it's a culmination that gives you an experience of humility. So whether you are the Pisces person or you are the Virgo person, you experience a certain humility now, because it may be even that you were only partially successful or not so successful, or you didn't meet the hearts of people in the way that you wanted, and you kind of like have to deal with your own anguish around this, and the understanding that there are a lot greater things happening in the world right now that make it a bit more difficult to do the personal planets in general. Okay, so if you are a writer, you might had a trajectory where you grew up and you learned from this famous writer, that famous writer, and you're like, I'm gonna write, I'm gonna be a famous writer, and you do what they did, and it doesn't work because we are living in different times. Doesn't mean it's not gonna work forever. You need to deal with that with grace. Or you're dealing with a certain ailment and you have the chance to work it through, but you might not be as effective as you were in terms of producing, painting, singing, and so on and so forth. The constellation is giving artistic and emotional but somber nature, a penetrating and analytical mind, much travel and many friends, but dangers of robbery, because the other polarity is Pisces, and of accidental poisoning. That's interesting. According to Ptolemy, the bright stars like Saturn and Mars, bold, cruel, heartless, adulterous, criminal, liar, loss of estate, poverty, new friends, if it is in the first house, magnitude rises by usury or unfair means. If culminating, bad name, rise by trade followed by disgrace and ruin. Okay. It was said the ancients that were when a comet was here, poison was scattered all over the world. Ooh. So that's interesting. We recently actually had comets, but I don't know where were they falling, and yeah. I don't know if we'll have comments, but that is another, we were talking about poison earlier in this episode. We might be able to have diagnosis with and you want to think who is the crazy. As per your uh, as per your perception, who is the crazy? Because the person that you think is the crazy is going to give you an experience of humility. Yeah. So, and that is very much the situation. You think they are crazy. Now they're going to give you experience of humility, and if you are amongst the people and not the regime, it's going to take you 20 years to understand. So you better be looking at this person very closely. And instead of going through the crisis parts, because Pluto is going to go through Aquarius, what you want to do is to say, okay, this person may be very, very, very far from the way I view things, from the way I do things, from the way I think about the world. There probably is a good reason they believe what they believe. There probably is a good they're probably seeing things that I don't see. That is what you want to understand. They're probably seeing things and connections that they don't see, and that's why they're behaving in this way. And those things that they see are very real. Okay? If you understand this now, you're saving yourself 20 years of torture. Because you wouldn't understand this only after Pluto is in the situation where they're going from Aquarius to Pisces. It's very, if somebody was gaslighted in 2007 and they were called crazy by society, 2022, 23, but even earlier, a lot of people begin to understand that they themselves were tortured psychologically at their workplace, with their partnerships, with this. And it's not about blame, okay? It's understanding that that was an ongoing thing. And now by the governments. If you understood that this person was tortured in 2007, you would have tended to this in 2007, not in 2023, when they're already changed the coin. Okay? With Aquarius, is the same. Who are the people that you deem as crazy? Now, look at them. They are not so crazy, because in 2007 you would have thought that this person that doesn't speak clearly, that doesn't see this, that doesn't see that, that is triggered by everything, they're triggered by... They were not crazy, huh? They were not crazy. You get this now. Now. Yep. Pluto is going to be 20 years in Aquarius. And it's not that you get this now. Why do you get this now? Because now you're reminded of your traumas. Now you want to go to the doctor and they give you a pill that kills you. And you begin to understand. We've not gone too far from Michel Foucault. And so with Aquarius, it's very important to remember this. The person you see as crazy now, if you cast them out, or if you mock at them, or if you mistreat them, you're going to be receiving a very not humiliating experience of that causes you humility. It's not about humiliation. It's not about humiliation. But it definitely is about, you're going to experience humility. But it's going to take you 20 years. Why? Give yourself 20 years of torture. So this is just the point of things. So the early astrologers called the Draco the poisonous dragon. The constellation is especially hurtful to mineral resources. Like I said, something can happen with the ship that collides, that breaks, and the gas is spilled. So it's bad also for the minerals. And presages the pollution of rivers. I didn't even read the next sentence, okay? Presages the pollution of rivers and the air. Unfortunately, here it can be oceans, okay? because it's opposing Pisces, and there's the Saturn retrograde here. So a ship at the ocean, is it like an atom thingy like an A bomb goes off? I don't know, because Pluto is ruled by Saturn. So it can be a ship, and the pollution is because of that. And it can additionally be some A bomb goes off and you hear about the ship. It's like, oh, this ship, and this ship is not a false story, it's a true story. But you hear about the ship that went off and there's this ecological disaster, but you don't know that another A bomb went off. And now there is this ecological disaster. You don't know about this. But with these constellations, you might be exposing, this knowledge might be exposed somehow. But because Saturn is there can be delays to this exposure. You hear half the truths, like I don't know in what way, or the Saturn retrogrades actually dredges these truths. It's like, oh, I thought this ecological disaster was because of a ship. No, they were drilling oil and there was an explosion there and they found oil, but it polluted the entire maritime life around this Middle East. So yeah. The moon's nodes are named after this constellation. Okay, the tail and the head of the dragon. So moon's undulating course symbolized by the twisting of the dragon about the North Pole. So we have an illumination on a constellation that's associated with, this is the constellation that gave names to the nodes that decide on the eclipses. Okay, so where are the nodes during the eclipse? This is where we're going to have changes. I definitely need to do an in-depth study with me live on this particular topic. I know it's probably scheduled to someplace, and that's why it didn't happen yet. Same with the Aries episodes. But yeah, 10th Arabic Manzil al-Jaba. So this is the lunar mansion. Strengthens buildings, promotes love, benevolence, and helps against enemies with moon. Sow, plant, release prisoners, but take no fugitives. Okay, we're not sowing and planting because this is harvest moon. Okay, it helps against enemies, gives benevolence, love, strengthens buildings. I don't know, like we're not building anything right now. And Chinese Hu Zhang, extended nets. The name of this mansion is to mean spreading like a net, associated with festivities such as after a good hunt, game collected for feast. It is customary to being present in such occasions. This mansion is indicated gifts and presents. Right conduct is rewarded, so doing what's right. This is the sun's constellation. Harmonious relationship and reward due to industriousness, such as promotion and salary increase. Good for family reunion and acquiring new property. So you might be completing a purchase of a property, and maybe there are some dredged up secrets that help you tame the price. I don't know. Good for family reunions and acquiring new property. It also presages the sickness of authority figure. Because the sun is going to be here, then some leaders might get sick, and then that might expose some things, or sickness exposed. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do. This was a very comprehensive, very, very comprehensive passage. So oh, that's the full moon. Then we have the fixed stars. I don't think astrocartography would show me anything if it's what I want to see here. Where is this moon happening to whom? So let's see on a mundane level who would be more affected by this. I hope I do it correctly. We are looking for basically Jupiter line because it's the ruler of the lunation. And Jupiter line, I see here, okay, Jupiter line, I can't see. So this is basically northern Canada, Alaska, right? And let's see what else do we have here. The other Jupiter line. So another Jupiter line we're going to have is going to go from Russia. Is it already? No. Yes, Russia. It's particularly Russia here, not Ukraine. Then Georgia, but no, Georgia is a bit far. Turkey, Lebanon, Iran, Amman. Here is, no, Jordan, not so, it's more Lebanon, Syria, of course. Lebanon is not so. So, okay, Russia, Alaska, Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan. So, and okay, we have it by capital cities. Addis Ababa is not too far. Nairobi not too far. So Egypt and the southern part, but the southern east, the southeast of Africa continent, which I need to see according to countries because this is confusing. I need to remember this. So those will be affected by this lunation. Well, there is the Black Sea, there is the Red Sea, okay, Black Sea, Red Sea. Then, of course, ocean by Pisces. So by land and by sea around these areas. The moon is on the North Atlantic Ocean and South, so the Atlantic Ocean. It's here in the Atlantic Ocean. So the Atlantic, so certain things can happen here in between Europe continent to, is this Iceland? Yes, this Iceland and Northern America, but also Latin America, Southern America. Okay, the ocean disasters, they can be here, and they can be translated as climate, intense climate stuff, because the oceans here are affected and are affecting. It is the cold and warm streams that affect are affected by sea levels and are affected by climate. I don't remember exactly the science of how, but this is very interesting. And we have another moon line going here from the Pacific. Pacific is more like the difficulty to go by ship, to travel by ship, because you can get drowned. But here is more about pollution. Okay, more about pollution. So Pacific, maybe bombs going off into Mexico, United States here, and through Alaska, Iceland, I think also Greenland, into again Russia, but here is, I think it is not just, because here is Finland and Poland. I think it's, yes, through Russia. It's already through Russia. And the stance, basically, but all the way down to India in the Indian Ocean. Okay. This is where we see this lunation. These are the mundane areas that are going to be most affected, whether by maritime disasters, pollution, A-bombs going off. We recently had a lot of leaders being assassinated. Nothing we, the astrological community, did not predict. But then you see it happening on a mundane level. Here is more the maritime disasters, or some leader can be sick, something exposed about the sickness of some leader, or they can actually get good diagnosis, but it's publicly exposed, or dredging up the actual cause of somebody's ailment. We had many such cases. We had Trump, we had Bibi Netanyahu. I don't know about Biden, so those things are still up. And this was, I think, one of my most comprehensive analysis for a full moon. You're saying, but surely, what is my chart to do with this? Well, like I said, you could find the source of an ailment. You can get a good diagnosis this time. There can be challenges around the family that you need to sort if you didn't treat someone gracefully. But most importantly, who is the person that you think that they are just imagining? Okay, because they probably know something. And I'm looking here immediately at this book about the girl from the prisoner from Tehran. You think about people that went through certain types of torture, certain types of imprisonment, certain types of exile, that you think they are imagining, they're telling not real stories and so on. I really advise you to hold your own ideas about such people with a grain of sand, because you know nothing, huh? You know nothing. We know nothing. Okay, we know nothing. We know what we've been through. We don't know what the other person has been through. And humility here is important. So we rather not create, tension as so to castrate or to throw someone out, in the sense of, if a person, let's say, is gay, if a person, let's say, is acting differently than you would predict or something like this, then remember that the lessons of Pisces are compassion. You think a person is addicted, maybe they made bad choices in life, they were probably prescribed a drug. I know I have actually a close friend that was fighting against corruption, and they did go to juristics, they did go to litigate, and they were administered Xanax, which is to calm them, and now they need to go through withdrawal. They don't have the money, and there's no safe place to do withdrawal. You see a person in the streets addicted sometimes, and you say, oh, this person is made bad choices, they probably made fool of their lives, and so you don't know this is a hero that tries to protect your people, and protected your people, and paid a heavy price for it, and you think they made bad choices, so you get these humility experiences when you run into them with the context of where the outer planets are. It can be something that is more sooner than later. You just might realize certain things about your government, about this, about that. But if it is already relating to the upcoming Pluto in Aquarius, then being humble and being inclusive not on the account of people, not inclusive in a way that makes people victims, but inclusive in a way that gives the person a place in society, you're going to sow such good seeds that if we go through a crazy world, but you're going to reap good seeds. You're going to reap from these seeds, you're going to reap good fruits from these seeds, because at least as much as you saw something that does not grow crooked. Okay, it grows very good. If you think this person is not scientific, this person is crazy, this person is viewing the world crazy, this person is weird, this person, they don't agree to do this, they don't agree to do that, they're not working like all people, you are going to reap very bad fruits, if any at all, at these times. So this is true to this lunation. It is true to any lunation right now with the context of the skies. What else personal to you? If you need diagnosis, if you lost something, if there's a secret that you need to expose, or something that you need to see the whole picture about something, you're going to see it. I'm not going to go through the houses because I don't find that to be particularly useful for this lunation. On a personal level, I don't know. No, it's not. Let's say it's your seventh house, first house involved. So maybe there's a secret about your partner that you need to discover, but also you need to be more open-minded about the way you view your partner, okay? Or the way you view yourself. You need to be more open-minded. And if it is your partner, then your partner needs to be more open-minded about you, or they will lose you. You will let go of them. Okay? And then that is not reaping good fruits. In here, there's no, Saturn, if it's your seventh house, can mean separation from someone, or loss of someone, but here it's due to some grief, to something that, if it is you that needs to change, then maybe you will understand this is me that needs to change. But if it is, they have been mistreating you, they have been not really, promoting your well-being, and they've been seeing you in ways that are invalidating, this is the time where you might even lose them. Okay, you might even not, because it's Pisces. Pisces usually, like, if it's the other placements that break up. Pisces just walks out, ghosts, okay, walks out. Or Pisces loses, okay? It's kind of like you see that they are mistreating you, then they say, I don't want to see you anymore. And you're like, okay. And they're shocked. Okay? They're giving you this dramatic, speech. And here, where they might be very skillful, very artistic, and express this, I don't want to see it. You're like, okay, finally, good. So this is something that can happen. Yeah, if you are the Pisces, anything that you do that is not only for yourself, so whether it's religious or social agenda, it will need to go through updates. Okay, I see it on myself. I have Palasatina there. I was like waking up thinking about many things, and I know that there are many things that I would need to learn, to change, and maybe things that I don't believe that work. Okay, in regarding this issue, I have Pisces ascendant. Maybe things I don't believe that work, they actually do work, and I need to have a little bit more faith. So I don't know. Okay, or the other way around. I need to change my strategy. Or there are certain things that are like, okay, this, what can you do? That can also be that. If it is like 10th house, 4th house, then family, or your job, being a boss. Maybe you didn't get the promotion that you want. It's kind of like oh, you got the promotion that you want, but there's a sense of loss there. Or yeah, or the relationship with one of the parents, you need to work on them, some more grace is needed. Yeah, if you're not gonna die, then if spice is your fourth. But the thing is very much that things still need to change, and you see the whole picture, and you see none of the picture at the same time. This is what happens, and this is why I say I don't know what is the point of delineating it house by house, because the general theme is supposed to give you what it is. In all, you understand that intuition is incomplete and cognition is incomplete. Okay, intuition can still give you bad judgment. Okay, scientific blah 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 can still give you bad judgment. So what do? Okay, you have to accept, then you have to surrender. This is why you surrender in Pisces, because science in Aquarius only gave you this much, and then you say, I want to try intuition. Intuition, sometimes it gives very good results, sometimes not, just like science. And then you surrender. Okay, at the end of Pisces, you just surrender. You're like, I don't know. And that's that. But this surrender can actually even bring blissful things to you. Okay, it's like you're surrendering, but it's not necessarily that you are lost. Okay, you feel lost, you surrender, and then you might not be lost. There's nothing I can rely on, and I'm still okay. Okay, it can also be that. So yes, have a lovely day. 10:13. I'll see you on my next video. Bye-bye.